I learned from Tom, I'll tell you right now.
Oh my God. So you couldn't dance until you
Mm,
met Tom?
Right. It seems that I went two dances in Ireland. I think that's all I ever went to in Ireland.
Now, did you meet Tom over there?
I met him in Bridgeport.
Oh, you went here.
Right.
Oh, God. So you weren't allowed to go out to any of the dances at all?
No, and my mother didn't want to teach me because then she said you'd want to be going dancing all the time.
And at night time, did a lot of people come into the house? Like, was there
Yes,
Feiles and
oh yes, there was always somebody in the house, and of course it was a rambling house. All the neighbours came in at night.
they brought the musicians and
That's right.
everyone danced in the kitchen?
Exactly. Um, I remember a crowd being home from Bridgeport. Petty came around was one of them, and Maureen Dowling and Kathleen Dowling. Can't remember who else. And we had an accordion player, and they were dancing across the kitchen floor. I don't know if Paddy Kay
Were they doing
remembers
the
that.
broom dance?
No, they didn't do the broom dance that night, but I know that Tom's brother is very good at that.
Yeah, my aunts are very good at that too.
Right.
So they are as well. There's four of them do it together.
And now Tom's brother is over 80. He's 82. He still does the broom dance.
Oh my God.
So
Terrific.
I had never seen that until I seen it with Tom's people.
I have seen it myself. I've seen it years ago at home.
See? No, it was never in our house, even though we did have a broom. Just didn't have the dancers.
You got many a clap with the broom.
Oh God, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. You didn't do us any harm.
Well, we'll move on a little. What about the church at home years ago? Because it's changed so much.
Yes,
over the years.
there was a new church put up in our village, where we went to school, the next two villages up. And when I went over there, not the first trip, next trip, I thought it was a synagogue. I really did. Honest to God, because I'd seen the synagogues here.
It looked exactly like it.
Definitely.
It wasn't. It wasn't an old stone church.
It wasn't. It was a stone church, but it's the way it was shaped inside. And the altar didn't seem like an altar that I was used to.
And it was a very strict the religion years ago when you were.
Oh, it was. If you seen a priest coming, you just jumped in over the wall. You didn't want to meet him. You did not want to meet him.
And if you were in trouble, would you be threatened to be sent to the priest?
No, not in school. No, not in school we wouldn't.
No.
No. Even though my mother was, now when she moved from the farm place and handed over the farm to my brother after my father died, she moved with my younger brother. He insisted there's no central heating here. I have central heating in my house, so and she said, no, I can't leave the place. Well, just for a few weeks and see if you like it. You don't like it, you can come right back down here again. Anyway, he gave her, this is the part that I laugh over, he gave her his room, which was beside the fireplace. He figured this is going to be warmer and he won't have to keep the oil burning all the time all through the house. And he moved to another room. But anyway, it seems I was home this time, and of course I said to the priest at Mass, I said, stop over some evening, we'll have a chat. Anyway, when I told my mother, I said, she's coming for dinner. Oh, well then I'm going to bed. I can't. I can't be here when he comes in. So I said, no, you will stay here. Anyway, it seems that he came, and anyway, I gave him a drink right away, and he was ever so chatty. He took off his shoes and put his feet up and was so relaxed. My mother said I was a bundle of nerves. I was a bundle of nerves. And she says, you talk to him like she said he was your brother. I says, that's what they want.
Yeah. I knew, and she didn't want to see him because she was nervous because
Right.
of that whole idea of him being a priest.
That's right. That he's better than me.
Wow.
And they don't feel that way.
Oh, no.
They don't. They're delighted. I says, they're lonely. They'd like to be able to be invited for dinner. She says, I certainly wouldn't invite him. Well, as it was, I hadn't invited him. I just asked him to come over. As it was, he came over every evening then. Took his shoes off and was quite comfortable. Right. But of course, it was only just across the road because this is where my other brother lived.
Now, did you have to go to confessions every Saturday?
I think it was every 3 or 4 weeks we went.
Right, and when you had the missions and
Oh, I used to love the missions. We went to hear the foreigners speak every night. You know, it was hell and high water, and
what was it like?
oh God, it was scary. It was scary. The priests that I mean, those were the priests from other countries that were coming in, and I remember him saying one time, "Every man, woman, and child in this parish will die and go to hell. Every man and woman in this parish will die and go to hell." And the little old farmer down the back, and he's laughing. And the priest said to him, "And what are you laughing at?" "I don't belong to this parish, Father." I thought that was so cute.
Smart man.
Right, I don't belong to this parish.
They did put the fear of God.
Oh, they did.
together.
Oh, God, they did. Right.
Mhm.
And of course, dancing in those days too was banned by the priests, and bingo and any kind of sports. I mean, anything that kind of entertainment.
Really, it was
oh
all
God.
banned.
Oh God, yes.
So there was nothing really at night.
No, nothing. No.
That's why people had so many Kayleys.
I think that's the reason they had to have them. They
Yeah.
had to have some place to go, and that's the way all the neighbours would collect at somebody's house, which was usually our house, at night, and they didn't believe in drinking, the priest, but of course they drank in the rectory, but they didn't believe in going out to the bar. No, there was none of that.
So did your family have a little drop in the house?
Oh God, there was always a drink for anybody that came in, always. Because my father had a habit of saying, "Gee, I'm so glad you came now, because otherwise I wouldn't get this." It sounded like
a little bottle.
right. No, it sounded like my mother wouldn't let him have it, which wasn't true.
Well, years ago, I know in my family when they on the farm, they had in the summertime, in the harvest time had come,
Yeah.
and it'd be time to do all the crops
Right.
and everything. Some of the neighbours would help.
Oh God,
all
yes.
the neighbours would help out with all.
That's right. They took turns. You'd help the neighbour this week, and I'd help the neighbour the following week, and then we.
And when it was all done, then they had like a big party, and
Oh,
they
God,
used to
yes.
get a keg of beer. Did yours ever do?
No,
anything
we
like
didn't do that. No.
They used to get a big keg of Guinness, and have everybody and roast a pig.
Right. Oh yeah. They roasted in the ground, right?
They roast them on the spit.
Right. No, we didn't have that.
So would at the end of the harvest.
No, even though we used to kill our own pigs.
And they kill their own.
Right,
pigs.
right.
At home.
Right.
But there was nothing like that.
It's like when my sister came over here. It seems there was a Mrs. Hawley heard that my sister was coming over, so she came down to ask me would my sister work for her, and I said, "Well, have nothing to lose. We'll ask her." Anyway, it seems Mrs. Hawley, anyway, second day after she was there, now she said, "Eileen, I'm going to grocery shopping. What kind of food do you like?" And Eileen, for the life of her, couldn't think of pork. And she says, "What comes off a pig?" I thought that was something. What comes off a pig? And you know now Eileen is married to a millionaire. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, you didn't know Eileen?
No, this is your sister.
Right.
One of your sisters. And she lives here.
No, she didn't like it here.
Really?
So she went back after a year.
Now, did you like it when you came here?
I did.
You did.
I
so
did.
You had no desire to
I
go
was-
home for good.
I was homesick.
Right.
I was homesick because where I lived was near the water, and every time I seen a boat, I should be on that boat.
Oh.
So I was homesick.
And how long did that last?
Until I made my first trip.
And after you went home the first time?
Yes. And then when I came back, I went to night school.
So you felt...
Then I felt this is home to me now. But then I went home every 2 years after that.
You did?
I did, yeah.
So your job was pretty good paying job. Did you ever
Well,
afford to go home?
I went home in 52, and then we got married in 54.
When did you meet Tom?
Jeepers, don't ask me what year, 50. We were going out together 5 years before we got married,
Oh, Lord.
and we met in Bridgeport, and I had a habit going to Mass every Sunday morning, 10:30, from the job where I worked. Anyway, I always had a habit of saying, "Good morning, good morning." I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who you were. It was always good morning. It was a habit in Ireland. Anyway, this couple one morning, after I'd said good morning to them a few times, they asked me if I wouldn't come and visit them. As it was, there was Tom's aunt and uncle.
And Tom was here?
He wasn't here yet. He wasn't here yet, but they told me he was coming.
So when he came, you met him?
Yes, right.
Right after he came?
Right, I guess about 6 months later or something, a few months later.
So,
and then he got drafted into the army.
Oh.
Well, he
World
wasn't a citizen, but he got drafted, and I didn't think that you could do that, but they
Was
can.
that before you got married?
Right.
So how many years did he spend in the army?
2 years.
And where was he stationed?
In Kentucky.
Oh, he didn't have to go overseas?
Didn't have to go overseas, no.
So, and then he came back?
Then he came out of the service, and then he became a citizen. You still had to be here 5 years to become a citizen.
Oh, it was the same then?
Right. Oh, yeah. So.
And then after 5 years?
Then we got married in
Where'd you get married?
St. Thomas's Church in Fairfield.
You did?
And that's my church ever since.
And where'd you have your reception?
Mary Journey's Inn.
Where was that?
That was over in Blackrock someplace, on the post road in Blackrock.
Oh, it was.
Right.
Am I sitting okay? I'm not in the way?
No, you're fine, doing great.
All right. Well, we're just talking about Mary's wedding day.
Right.
And we were just saying, what date was your wedding?
October 2nd.
October 2nd, 1950.
54, right.
1954. And so then, how many children do you have?
I have 5, and my first one was born 9 months and 1 day after I get married.
You didn't waste
July.
any time?
No, I couldn't believe it. Honest to God, I says, thank God that I was able to make it this long. Because I had a problem, and the doctor said, he says, you have to stay off your feet. Otherwise, we have to keep you in the hospital. I had, oh God, I can't remember what it was, but my feet were all swollen, and my fingers and all that. Toxemia, would it be? Right. And anyway, it seems that I said, I'll stay off my feet. Dr. Eccles, it was my doctor. He said, I'll be checking on you, Mary. Anyway, it seems Mary wasn't going to stay off her feet. I couldn't at that time. I had to keep moving. Anyway, I'm washing the kitchen floor, and the phone rings, and I thought, oh, gee, but that's Dr. Eccles. I ran, and she was flying like that.
You fell?
I did.
Oh my God.
Slipped on the floor, and it wasn't. It was the wrong number. And I could not tell Tom that I had fallen. I couldn't tell the doctor because he wanted me to stay in the hospital so he'd make sure I stayed off my feet. And that was
Were you all right after that?
I was, and that was a lovely doctor. We had our insurance wouldn't cover us because you had to be under insurance, I think, at that time for a year to cover a pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
And
were you okay after?
I was, but the doctor anyway sent us $100 towards clothing for our baby, and I thought that was nice of him. Did you ever hear of a doctor doing that?
No, never heard of that.
But I know when I went to him first, and I said to him, I knew you were this young doctor. I said, Tom, take care of the whole thing myself, and he says, why, how old do you think I am? And I said, about 25. He said, now wait a minute, I graduated at 28, and he says, and I'm married 12 or 14 years, so he said, I'm more than that, haven't I? I said, yes, you are. But I thought he looked so young.
Oh, wow.
And he says, along with that, I was married 12 years before they could have a child. And he says, they went ahead to adopt. And the next thing, she did. And then he says, then we had another one, he says, and I told her, that's enough. But I missed him terribly when he died.
Did they do house calls back then?
No, they didn't.
They didn't? Yeah.
No, not the gynecologist, no.
It was such a change. So what do you think the
But
biggest...
Dr. Eck, those other doctors that used to come to the house, those other regular doctors came to the house.
The physician?
Regular physician, they came to the house.
Here?
Yes, oh yes.
So
That was in Southport.
So What do you think the biggest change for you was when you first came, compared to home?
Well, to start with, I was born on a farm, and then of course I thought I'd be able to work in a store that, like I used to in Ireland, that I worked in for over a year, nearly 2 years. The money was the biggest change. I mean,
A lot more money?
right. It was the idea of getting used to it.
Oh, the currency.
Right, right. Yeah.
Were you earning a lot more money here than you would have back home?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
So I think I was only getting 10 shillings a week in Ireland.
So do you think your wedding would be a lot cheaper here than
Yes.
at home?
Yes, oh definitely. Even though the wedding didn't cost as much at that time, I think it was only $15 a person.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And a lot of those people that were at the wedding are dead today.
Was it a big reception?
I think we had about 110.
Because I know you and Tom are very popular.
Oh, right.
Yes, sir. And did you bring anything from home with you when you came? Anything at all, like
No.
keepsakes or anything?
I did. I brought songbooks and poems. And I think that's about all.
Were they written? Did you write them yourself?
I wrote them myself.
Do you still have them?
I have one book, and then I have a poem that somebody made up for me. I still have that. I just found that the other day.
You ever get it published?
No.
Would you publish it in the newsletter?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
It was a skeleton thing,
Right.
the skeleton dance. It's cute to read it. It was a girlfriend of mine that made it up.
Yeah.
And
But any of the poems that you wrote yourself?
no, I didn't write anything myself.
Oh.
No, it was songs that I used to copy off the gramophone.
Yeah. So it was a gramophone back then?
That's right.
It wasn't records?
Right, regular records, right. And of course they're all electric now, but those were the old.
No, did you have a gramophone back
Yes,
then?
we did.
In Ireland?
Yes. Oh, yes, we did.
Oh, wow.
The old type that you.
She must have been a rich farmer's daughter.
My mother came from a wealthy family,
Right.
but my father was a small-time farmer, and they only lived about a mile apart. But her parents wouldn't go to the wedding.
Because of the
Right.
class distinction.
That's what she told me, that she couldn't believe it. So,
That she was marrying beneath her.
right. And as it was,